Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Josh Guerrero, and I'm the host and founder of this podcast, which is simply titled the All Around Adventure Podcast. Whether you're joining me for the first time or if you've been listening to the podcast for a while now, I certainly do want to welcome you here. And as always, I want to thank you for being here today. I know you're busy, and I know you got a lot going on, and there's also a lot of other crazy things happening in the world right now, and it just means so much to me that you've chosen to download and listen to this podcast. Now, if you are in fact new to this podcast and you're not entirely sure what we're all about here, this is the show where you hear amazing tales from afar and get the all-important life lessons that go along with them. And I do that through a few shows on this podcast. I have an interview show where you get to hear stories from myself, as well as the amazing travelers that I welcome on the podcast. And I have a solo cast that I do called Wisdom Wednesday. And I also have this solo cast that you just so happen to be listening to right now. And this is the blog readings, or TBR for short. And it's exactly how it sounds, where I read my blog posts, both past and present, for you to have an audio format on the go. Now, the blog post that I want to read for you all today is titled My Upcoming Expedition, Operation Dual Trek. Now, some of you might have already heard me talk a little bit about Operation Dual Trek already in either previous episodes or maybe on some of my guest appearances that I've had on other podcasts. And it's an endeavor that I'm going to be doing in June of this year. Well, at least I'm hoping to do, considering this whole COVID-19 fiasco that we're facing right now. But for this post, I want to tell you just a little bit more about it as to why I decide to take it on, and I guess just some of the admin and logistical things surrounding it and pertaining to it, again, especially with this whole COVID-19 situation. So I'll kind of let the post do the rest, and let's just go ahead and get right into this. And this is my latest blog post, My Upcoming Expedition, Operation Dual Trek. Let's go ahead and kick this off. I'm a bit of a late bloomer when it comes to travel and adventure, as I had my first international travel experience when I was 25 years old. I traveled to Japan as part of a 2-week study abroad group when I was in college. That was what got me bit with the travel bug, and since then I've made seeking out epic adventures a big part of my life. This led me to some of the amazing places that I talk about throughout this blog and podcast. Along the way, I've also found ways to challenge myself physically. Physical fitness has become a big part of my life as well. Much of this stems from my time in the Marine Corps, when I hit a low point during my service and got so overweight that I had to be put on a body composition program in order to lose weight. During this time, I felt very ashamed of myself. I felt as though I'd become a liability to my fellow Marines, so I made a commitment to turn things around. Through determination and consistency, I lost a lot of weight, and I went on to complete the Marine Corps Marathon before my service was over. I went on to complete other physical endeavors as well, including fighting in a cage fight, completing a Tough Mudder, cycling 300 miles across the Gambia, completing a Spartan race, and more. However, there are other types of physical challenges out there that I haven't done yet that piqued my interest. One of them is completing a thru hike, which brings me to Operation Dual Trek. What is Operation Dual Trek? Well, putting it simply, I'm looking to walk the entire length of 2 South American countries, Paraguay and Uruguay, a total distance of over 1,000 miles. Now, why am I doing this? Why is definitely something that I've been asked when I tell people about what I'm doing, and there are 3 main reasons as to why I plan to do this. Number 1, to help veterans. Since I'm a former Marine, I want to do something to help my fellow veterans. I'm hoping to raise donations for the American Veterans Archaeological Recovery, or AVAR, and it's also been formerly known as Operation Nightingale USA, which is a nonprofit organization that's on a mission to promote the well-being of disabled veterans transitioning to civilian life through field archaeology. This unique approach is referred to as rehabilitation archaeology. Veterans will have the opportunity to work on archaeological dig sites around the world, and this will allow them to connect with other veterans, work towards a mission to protect cultural heritage, and set themselves up for success following their dig activities. Some of the dig sites that AVAR is looking to take veterans to are located in countries like Israel, Italy, England, and here in the US. If you'd like to support this cause and donate to AVAR, head to gofundme.com/dualtrek. Number 2, to seek out challenge. As I've mentioned, I've completed several physical endeavors in my days, though I've never done anything like this before. I've talked many times throughout this podcast about why we should seek out challenges in our lives. we become much more capable of dealing with the inevitable challenges that life will throw at us. And I know that this will be a very tough endeavor. Not just that I have to walk long distances day in and day out, but I'll also be in places that I've never been to before, as well as interacting with a culture that I've never met, and in an environment that I'm completely unfamiliar with. So, needless to say, I definitely have my work cut out for me. However, I know that I'll come away from this challenge as a stronger, more capable, and overall better version of myself. Number 3, to add value. Adding value is one of the primary objectives of all-around adventure. Now, it's my hope that I can continue to do so for my fellow veterans. Those in the veteran community are capable of achieving amazing things, and I know this because they already have achieved amazing things. During this trek, I hope to demonstrate what veterans, and human beings in general, are capable of. Life isn't easy. We will face many obstacles along the way. There's no doubt that I'll face many of them throughout my journey in Paraguay and Uruguay. However, I believe that when we commit ourselves and work towards our objectives, there's nothing that we can't achieve. That's the message that I hope to convey as I tell this story, that we're far more capable than what many of us might believe. When am I doing this? My plan is to step off in June of this year. However, with this whole COVID-19 situation that has been going on, travel plans have been put on hold for travelers everywhere. So it's hard to say as to whether or not things will resemble some form of normal by June and I can proceed as planned. Though this situation has also thrown another wrench into my plan, besides the travel ban. In order to apply for my visa to Paraguay, I need to renew my passport. For the moment, the State Department has very limited passport services. So I may have to look into contingencies should I face significant delays in renewing my passport. Am I worried about going once travel opens up with COVID-19 being out there? From a health standpoint, no, I'm not. It's likely that I've already been infected with the virus. Last week I had 3 days when I experienced some of the telltale symptoms, especially shortness of breath and persistent pressure in my chest. I was traveling to Mississippi the week prior, and shortly after returning home to Florida, I started to experience the symptoms. When I told my roommate about it, he said that he experienced the same symptoms while I was away, so I likely picked them up from him once I made it home. However, these symptoms weren't very severe, and they felt more like inconveniences rather than anything painful. So I'm not worried about getting sick since I may be immune now, and even if it wasn't the virus this time around, I feel confident that I would recover well should I get it down the line. The only thing that I may be concerned about is people's behavior. As the situation went on, I observed too many people out there behaving irrationally, especially here in the US with people hoarding toilet paper, or that one guy in Tennessee who bought over 17,000 bottles of hand sanitizer in order to try and price gouge people. So if things escalate with this virus once again, it's possible that more irrational and panic-driven behavior could occur while I'm traveling. Admin and logistics. Since I'm about 2 months away from stepping off on this expedition, I've made the decision to take a production break from my regular podcasting schedule. This will allow me to focus on training, route planning, gear acquisition, and anything else that I need to do in order to prepare for this expedition. This is an important mission for me. I'm striving to raise money in order to help my fellow veterans. Therefore, I want to take every step I can to ensure that this expedition is a success. Though I still intend to upload content to show more behind-the-scenes work with preparation, as well as during the expedition itself. I intend to vlog and record podcast episodes while I'm down there. However, considering that I'll be spending a lot of time in the middle of nowhere with very limited internet access, it's likely that content will be uploaded sporadically. To sum it up, I'm excited about the challenge ahead, though I'm definitely nervous, especially considering that there are so many things that'll be new and unfamiliar to me. Not to mention that there are still so many unknowns with this COVID-19 thing. No one really knows entirely what the hell is going on. The only thing that I know for sure is that the sun is going to rise tomorrow. So as long as the world keeps on turning, I must keep on moving forward and proceeding as planned. I look forward to having you following along on the journey, and again, if you'd like to support the cause that I'm doing this expedition for, head to gofundme.com/dualtrek. Thank you. Well, there you have it, everyone. Another episode of the blog readings is in the books. Just wanted to give you all a little bit of an inside scoop as to what's coming up with Operation Dual Trek, especially in the midst of this whole COVID-19 situation. I still intend to proceed as planned, and I will be taking a production break from my regular scheduled podcasting, but I still will be posting some content from time to time, so make sure you're on the lookout for that. And you can also subscribe to the podcast wherever you might be listening to it. And if you'd like to support the podcast, as always, you can head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star rating and review. Seems simple, but those ratings and reviews really do go a long way to supporting the podcast, getting us trending higher so that way more people can find the podcast and get some value from it as well. I will also continue to post regularly in our private Facebook group called Travel Titans, which is a group that was created for travelers to share their stories, their tips and advice, as well as their inspiration pertaining to both travel and self-development. So if you'd like to be a part of that, head over to facebook.com/groups/Travel Titans, and we look forward to seeing you there. Also, if you'd like to donate to the cause that I'm doing this expedition for, you can head to gofundme.com/dualtrek. That is DUALTREK. And I thank you very much in advance for being willing to share your generous donation today. I know it's probably tricky to do so considering the current state of things, but it really means a lot to me, and I certainly don't take it for granted. So thank you very much. And that's all I have to say for now, and I will check back in with you all pretty soon on this podcast with some more content, with some more updates on Operation Dual Trek, so be on the lookout for that. But until then, I'm Josh Guerrero saying be safe, happy travels, and always move forward.